First time I went back, I took a German helmet and a German gas mask the first time I went back. I went to my school and looked in the door. At 10 o'clock in the morning, I could see the 4 classes. You had 4 classes, standards you like, for the 9s and 10, 10 to 11, 11 and 12, and 12 to 14, all divided up like that. I could look through there and I saw my kid brother. He's only a little boy, about 8 or something. And then I could see them. So I opened the door and went in. There was the headmaster, William Browning, M.A. Went in there. What a noise went on. And there was I talking to Mr. Browning, and he said, "What did you say? What did you say? You on a holiday?" "Yes, you're all on a holiday. You're all going on a holiday." And half an hour after that, and about 50 or 100 people came to my house to ask me what the war was like. I'll never forget that. And that was marvellous that day, to find about 50 or 100 people. Yeah, and of course I was the first man in the village to join up, you see. I got quite a bit of publicity, but I'll never forget that. Those who were conscientious objectors got tied to the wheel of a gun carriage and shot. So that was a lesson to us. Do as you're told, or else. And that was the most horrible thing, to get a young man who had a conscience. Don't know why he got a conscience, but he had a conscience. And he refused to do this, refused to do that, and he timed to a gun carriage and shoot him. I think it was despicable.
The cost in lives at the Battle of Loos was enormous. After a month's fighting, 50,000 men were dead. In the 5th Battalion of the Cameron Highlanders, only 112 men were left out of the 850 who had withstood the gas and shelling before fixing bayonets and going over the top.
Well, the Battle of Loos was the first big battle, 25th September 1915. That was a big battle. I remember going over the top. I remember the piper then. As I said before, I could not see him. But we advanced and advanced and kept on advancing until we had to pack up and lie down. One chap on my right, he lying on his stomach. We were all lying on our stomach, but one chap on my right, laying down on his, I said, on his stomach with his legs kicking up. I said, "What are you doing with your legs kicking up like that?" He said, "I want a blighty one." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, it's better to get a bullet in your leg than to get one when you're standing up and advancing." So one or two of us kept lying on our stomach, putting our legs up, hoping to get one in the leg to finish it off. We didn't need to go any further, looking to get wounded. So, I mean, you know you were going to your death. You knew what was happening all right. Because one minute you'd be in a line like that, left and right, you'd get your pals, and you're advancing, and the shells were bursting all the time. And you'd be talking 1 minute and saying, "This is so on and so forth." Bloody awful if you like to say it, this. And you're going forward, your head down and your bayonet forward, you know. We had to put a bayonet, instructed. And then you turn around and say, "Where are you?" And you look around and he's not there. Then you look the other side. Well, he's gone too. He's just lying beside you. Just missing. Bits of shells would knock them out. So you just had to lie down and sort of forget that sort of thing. Where I was, right on the top of Hill 70, we got to the top of the hill, we could look down and we could see the Germans putting shells into the guns. The guns that we saw were what they call Soissons cans, French 75s, guns that they had captured from the French early in the war, were turned on us. And you could actually see them putting the things in. And of course I got a letter from my captain, said, "Take this back." So I had to go down the hill like that. So he gave me a letter, and I had to climb the hill to go right back. The higher I went, the more obvious, visible I was to the Germans. and every now and again I had to flop down. But when I really got to the top of the hill, I ran down the other side. I was all right, I was safe. And I took a message, and this message said was to the effect that we want the artillery to fire on these trenches which we could see 800 yards or 1,000 yards. If we could only put those guns out of commission, break the wire, we could get forward. We were given our mail from home, parcels and letters. And there we are, the mail from home, and we got word over the top. We went over the top. We passed the artillery posts, and the fellows of our artillery said, "Hey, where are you going with those? Cigarettes, food stuff?" They said, "You don't need these where you're going." So we just gave our parcels away, kept our letters. We couldn't carry them.
And I suppose the Germans had very lightly manned this position because they never thought anybody would be mad enough to attempt it. And I suppose when they saw us, we saw this line of Germans with their mouths wide open. They were just gaping at us, stupefied. And as we bounded forward, they ran, and I thought, that's funny, that one's watching. Then I could see what they were after. They were after another trench. I suppose it had all been rehearsed just in case it happened. And we went to go forward, and I thought we'll jump in their trench they've just left. And I jumped, fellow next to me, and I didn't see what happened to him, but I went down the bottom of the trench and I felt, oh Lord, I'm buried. And then I found I could move one shoulder and then the other, and I gradually managed to stand up, and something rolled off my body. And it was the dead body of this 6-foot chap who had been on my left when we entered the swamp. And the remainder of his brains went all down my trouser leg. I think then we must have gone mad.
Modern science added gas to the general carnage of war. It was a detestable weapon, never forgotten by those on the receiving end.
And of course the gas was very heavy, and we had dugouts, just some were a bit lower than others, and it got in the dugouts were laid at the bottom of the trench, so if you couldn't try to avoid it, but the lower down you went, the more gas you got. The gas didn't rise, it came down. And if you're half conscious, you'd be lying there, you sniff the gas and out you go quicker. It's no good of standing up to avoid the gas because the bullets would come over and knock your head off.
Gas, when it's released, he was putting it into high explosive shells. And when that's released, it just seeps along the ground. And if you're lying in a culvert, you get the lot. And we just started coughing, eyes watering, the lot. Body tingling. And then this awful business of sucking in, you can't describe it really. Awful feeling. And then this feeling of lassitude, and you feel, I'll lay down and pack up.
There was one occasion when one of my chaps, he was a married man, I know he was a married man, he took his mask off, he said, I can't breathe. I said, put your gas mask on. He said, I can't. And before the day was out, he was a dead man. He couldn't stand the gas mask because the gas masks were just like pieces of flannel, 2 slits up here and a mouthpiece, not like the gas masks of today. So this poor chap, he just wouldn't put it on, and he was out. just be gassed. I got something in the leg, and then a stretcher bearer put me on the stretcher, of course, and he eventually found me on an ambulance, a horse-drawn ambulance. They pushed me in from the back, just as you push a loaf into the oven, push the stretcher in that way, and another that way, and the other side was a stretcher, another stretcher, and a little space in between, so that a member of the first aid could attend to you. However, we got in there and we went on this track. It wasn't a highway, it was just a track, and the shell fire was pretty heavy, and the blood from somebody up above me was resting on me. It wasn't very pleasant. Something happened. The ambulance turned over on its side, 2 wheels here and 2 wheels up in the air, and I was still strapped in the ambulance. They eventually got me out, and the others as well, took the stretcher away, and when I passed the horses in front of the ambulance, one was head up, neighing for all it was worth. I thought, oh, poor thing. And then the other was there, its head was missing. No, in other words, if the shell that landed in front of those horses, if it had only landed 2 or 3 yards back, it would have been a direct hit on the ambulance, and I wouldn't have been here.